is approval of appointment of Melissa Fisher as the new trustee representing the Iowa Chamber of Commerce. As you all may or may not know, but Richard Ryerson had previously filled that position, and he asked to be relieved of that responsibility, so the chamber took it upon themselves to appoint, and I will say this is the first time since I've been here for 27 years that we've had a female, and I think that's a nice addition to our board. But
It was because I popped off, I won't lie.
yeah,
I said, where's the women at on that board?
and they said,
There
"There
you
it
go."
is."
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
That's all right. That's the reason I said on the last row of law school, it kind of sunk down so they wouldn't call me.
Not me, I was at the front,
Yeah.
I'm always talking.
Okay. Well, anyway, in that regard, I would entertain a motion as item number 2.
So moved.
And what are you moving?
Appointment of Melissa Fisher, new trustee.
Okay, that second? I have a motion and a second to approve Melissa Fisher as the new trustee. Roll call vote, please.
Sam,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes. And that motion carries. So
Just that easy. Just that easy.
Thank you.
now the next one, where will you become chairman?
No.
Yeah.
I vote. We have an update, reorganization of members' terms and oath of office. What do you got for us?
okay. It's that time of year again. This one has to be signed by everybody, and so does this one. And then each one of you have an individual one. Start.
Eight.
Did you read it, Melissa?
I'm reading it right now.
Don't sign anything for that reading, because that's a 25-year commitment.
Oh, shoot.
It's basically whose side of your suit. He does this, it's not important what that is. It's
Okay,
signing
that's
over
what he was
the
doing?
name.
Oh, I didn't pay attention, I'll know next time, thank you.
Yeah.
All of them. Melissa signed, Stan signed, Stan signed. And then we'll get Randy's to him when we see him next. Okay, that takes
All right, we'll move on to item number 4, election of officers. We will have, I guess, what, a chairman,
Yeah,
vice chairman,
and
The
secretary. Right.
yeah, secretary treasurer.
Secretary.
Yeah. So, let's start with chairman. Who would like to serve?
I'd like to make a motion that Rick Cunningham remain as the chairman.
Second.
Okay, motion second for chairman for another year, myself. Roll call vote. Roll call vote.
Okay, you ready? Connor,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes, sir. Vice chairman.
be vice chair.
do we have actually serving in that capacity?
I believe it is, Connor. I didn't
Karen?
have anything that had all that
That,
information, but I do believe it is Connor.
And the purpose of vice chairman is to run the meeting in the absence of the chairman, and if there's a document or something that should be required to be signed in order to perform our duties, and you have the authority to do that. Lou the chairman, you're fine. Lou the chairman, so
Again, I'll make a motion that Connor retain that spot.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. We have a motion second for Connor Martin to be the vice chairman. Roll call vote, please.
Connor,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes. Congratulations.
You too.
Then we also have what we have generally combined secretary treasurer. And are you done that now, Stan?
I didn't think I had any.
no, Randy,
Oh, Randy.
Randy's was it.
He's almost always around. They can find him, so, but that's up to you guys. Who do you want, or ladies?
I've had to go to Stan on several occasions, because Rick was out, and
I move to, that Stan retains that position.
Oh, it was Randy though, right? But you can take it.
Oh, it was Randy?
Yeah, but that's
I
fine.
move to nominate Stan for secretary.
You're sticking with it,
Yeah,
huh? Okay, I have a second.
I'll second it.
A motion and a second. Stan Klein, serve capacity secretary treasurer. Roll call vote, please.
Connor,
yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Rick.
Yes. Okay, I believe that's all the officers that we have, so we will move on to the minutes of the March 9th regular meeting. Those have been previously provided to you. Melissa, you weren't here at that meeting, but you can still vote on it as long as you're satisfied that there's no corrections or additions to that. But are there any corrections or additions that you guys have? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes from March 9th meeting.
I'll second that.
Motion second to approve the minutes of the March 9th regular meeting. Roll call vote, please.
Connor,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Rick.
Yes. Next item is approval, disapproval of financial reports as of June 2021. Those have also been provided to you. Anything we need to point out to them?
No, that was pretty straightforward this past time, nothing unusual or anything on those.
Is everybody current on their payments?
This time, yes, BAP's current, of course, all the rentals are current. I think we have one to collect, but he'll be in before long, so, everything should be good, as you see there.
Does anybody have any questions about the balance sheet that's been provided?
Is the money there from the turkey hunt, is that just funds that are ready and be paid
Transfer
out yet?
through, yeah, and as we have to pay bills or whatever, we move it,
No, they're basically passed through.
yeah. Everything's gotta go through this committee.
make a motion to approve the financial reports as of June 2021.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the financial reports for, as of June 2021. Roll call vote, please.
Stan,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Rick.
Yes. Next item is approval, disapproval of the audit for FY 2019-2020, which you all have, I think, received. Had an opportunity to review. It appears it's kind of fairly standard of what we have had in the past. I would note that the general complaint that we always have is that we don't have enough diversity within our group to be able to segregate out a lot of duties. We only have 5 members. We do have Neil handles most of like deposits and things of that nature. We do have 2 signatures on checks, so at least we know what money's going out. But the auditors almost always note that every year.
Well, I just had a conversation with Sonia. She said, Vince, she wasn't a separate bookkeeper for the full time. We still got that deemed. But she said next year we may be out of that because now she keeps the books. I deposit and write the checks and you have 2 signatures. She said we may be away from that next year. So hopefully.
But that has been, I don't believe I've been here any year that isn't sort of the standard. They just say, and they note that because of the, basically the smallness of this group, that makes it difficult to spread that out.
Yeah.
And most of our funds that we handle during the year are pass-through type funds, so they end up in another entity's account, and so we're accountable to them for those funds, so they know if they've not received them or they didn't receive the proper amount. Any questions about the audit? If there are none, I would entertain a motion regarding the FY 2019-2020 audit.
I'll make that motion to approve that audit.
I have a second.
Second.
A motion, second, to approve the audit for FY 2019-2020. Roll call vote, please.
Melissa,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Rick.
Yes. Number 8, the contract perform the audit for FY 2020-2021. Do we have that contract?
Yes, we do. Basically the same contract except I'll see if I can tell you what it'll run. I don't think it's spelled out on here, but I don't think there's gonna be much difference from this year to next year for you.
We
And this-
probably need to know that before we approve it.
If you can find it. And it may be on this. Yeah, it's on this one there. Our fee for this service will be $3,185 plus $100 filing. and I believe that's almost what it was this year. I think it's about $80 higher.
And see, what we have used this Kimberly, I don't know how many years right now, but there are very few of these firms that are doing these governmental audits, and so they're pretty hard to find. She's out of Blackwell, and she had done, when we do our audits, then a copy of that gets filed with the state, of course. So it's on file, a matter of public record. This part, this letter actually is just, is our representation that we'll give her everything that she requires in order to perform a complete audit. So the engagement letter is actually what we're approving.
Okay. Do I sign this?
No, you know, as long as you look at it,
Okay.
you're gonna have it.
Very good, that's what I thought, but I just want to make sure.
I want you to, you're the new kid on the block, as they say, so I want to be sure that you know what we're doing.
This other one is Crystal Dobbins, and she's the CPA that does the financial part of it, because the auditor cannot do these anymore by law. So we have to hire her to do all our financial reports, and her fee is $250. So,
And basically, that's when we go where we break that out, and you have one person who handles the finances and puts those together, and then the auditor who then makes sure that everything has been done according to the law, so.
Has that been that way for a while? Seems like I don't remember how we do.
They started that, I don't know that, I'm
3 or
not sure
4
how.
years ago.
Yeah, 3 or
maybe?
4, it's been, they started requiring that. We used to have just, you know, the auditor was kind of for your accountant, well, they said, hey, look, that's getting a little too cozy, we want to be able to separate that out, and again, of course, that's to our benefit, actually.
Yeah.
It kind of indirectly takes care of a little bit of our issue of being such a small entity, and we at least have 2 separate CPA firms looking at it.
I had no idea it would be this much though
Yeah.
to look over that, I mean.
Well, they, believe it or not, of course, they have to be, you know, make sure everything's in place, that we're doing everything that we're supposed to do on these loans. We have a lot of pass-through loans to other entities that need this organization's supervision in order to qualify for certain kinds of grants and loans and
Okay.
low-interest loans. So, that's kind of what they track, but
So it's kind of a security thing, I got that.
But we're required every year to have an audit that's filed with the state, so we have to do it, it's just who does it. And that's been, I think we've inched up over the years, but usually there hasn't been any big drastic change in that. I'm actually surprised that's a lot of money, but I'm actually surprised they don't charge more than that. I think it's because of.
Especially since there's not hardly any of them that do it,
That's
so they
right.
get everything in the state. So,
Yeah,
I don't know, how long did it take her, Rick? 6 months?
Yeah. Anyway, as to item number 8, are there any other questions or concerns about that item?
Make a motion to approve contract to perform the audit for 2020-2021.
And that would be the one with Kimberly R. Mayer, CPA.
Do we have to approve both of them separate?
Yes,
Okay.
and that total sum is, what, 3285. That's the 3185 fee and then $100 for the auditor's filing fee. I have a motion, I have a second.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second to approve the contract for the audit FY 2020-2021 with Kimberly R. Mayer CPA as presented. Any further discussion? Roll call vote.
Rick,
Yes?
Melissa,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Stan?
Yes.
Okay. Number 9, any outstanding bills?
Yes. Of course, we got Kimberly's and we got Crystal Dobbins, CPA.
What is Kimberly's? What's that total amount?
Kimberly's is $3,103.
And that's for the current, the audit she
Yeah.
just completed, okay? 2020,
And then-
2019, 2020.
Dobbins was the $250 for the CPA. We have pledge transfers of $6,750. And then, on the next is the insurance for the year with ACO, which is $3,098. Those are the bills.
You might, I might have you just, if you don't mind, for Melissa to be sure, and just talk a little bit about the pledge transfers, what that is.
Okay, for the committee, which is the one that hires me,
Mm-hmm.
all of the money and funds that come in for that committee go here to the authority. The authority, then it's on their books, and then they transfer it to the committee. So any funds that we run through here normally transfer from here to the committee, like the turkey hunt or, you know, any of those activities that we are outside the authority transacting. If I remember right, the authority itself cannot have an employee or contract and all that, so therefore that's why the committee was formed, because they can't hire an employee. But everything transfers from grant. We've in the past gotten grants to build buildings. And that money comes here and then transfers to the committee, which pays the bills. So, does that make sense? Is that what you wanted, Rick?
Yeah, I just, so to understand, that those, and those pledge transfers, there are certain groups who have pledged certain amounts each year to provide support for the committee. So when we talk about pledge transfers, those people, let's say they pay $1,000 into that, well, they're not really, it's not our money. It's actually the committee's money, but legally speaking, we have to receive it,
Right.
and then we pass that through. So when we normally just kind of lump those in with bills, we call them bills, they're really technically, they're not bills, they're just pass-through funds, but we have to prove that to get it from our organization to the committee's organization.
And to make it more complicated, you got AVARD, which pledges so much money in train fees and things that when they pay, it's gotta come here and then to the committee. So, when I was telling you before, everything passes through here and goes to where it needs to go.
Okay.
And then you might, a little bit on the ACO insurance.
ACO insurance, that is liability and the premium for the buildings that we own. Right now, we have the Winoka Incubator, we have a building at the airport, and that's, no, we still own the one out at the, by at the highway on 64 alongside the road. I don't even know, there's,
Used to be McGill's.
huh?
McGill's.
Yeah. Used to be where Big
Where she
Man
was
moved
born.
their stuff to.
But like the beef, was it the beef jerky place or is it? farther
No.
back?
That we don't own anymore. It's the building across from the CDC building. It's a big yellow building.
Okay.
We own that, and that income comes to this board.
Okay.
So the insurance covers those buildings, the liability for the group. And that amount is $3,098 a year. But we get the insurance through the county where they get their insurance. So,
What happens, that's our pro rata share of that insurance. The commissioners, they purchase for the county, to cover all county-wide buildings, the courthouse and all their equipment buildings and everything. And so that's part and parcel of that, because we're under the auspices of the county. We insure our buildings through them, and that's our share, which is
right.
significantly less than it would be if we were going out on our own
Trying to find insurance.
yeah,
Okay.
trying to buy insurance, so that's what that is for.
Okay.
So we have 3103 to the CPA, 250 to Dobbins, the other CPA. Pledge transfer 6750, and then the ACO insurance 3098. So those are the four bills that we have, is that right?
Yes.
Are there any other questions regarding those bills? Then what's your pleasure in paying them?
I think we probably need to pay them, don't we? Make a motion to pay the
I don't
outstanding
know.
bills.
I'd say if we don't, the vice chairman's getting ready to be chairman. Anyway, I'd entertain a motion in that regard.
Stan made a motion.
I didn't hear it.
Oh, yeah.
My motion to pay the outstanding bills.
Okay. I have a motion and second to pay the outstanding bills as enumerated. Roll call vote, please.
Rick,
Yes.
Melissa,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Stan.
Yes.
Then we have approval, disapproval to renew insurance with ACO Sig for 21-22. I guess we should do this since we paid him, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay. Do you have that agreement?
I do right here.
Give me a second. That looks like what we've done in the past.
What would happen if the county elected to go with a different insurance company?
They've already approved that for this year.
They're already on this one, okay?
And so, I mean, I suppose, it wouldn't change, I mean, if something happened, I guess, between the county, and they had some breach or they did something, we're actually paying for our proportionate share of that, so ACO would still be responsible to us, even though the county might say we're not gonna carry that policy, we have an individual.
Well, I'm just wondering if the county approved that before we did. Okay.
I think they did that the first meeting of June.
And so we got a hold of ACO and they broke out our portion. So Dusty, the guy there, the insurance,
I'm sorry,
he
I
actually
didn't
broke
get
it out and sent us our stuff.
Okay.
Because we told him we had a board meeting today because we hadn't gotten it yet, so.
for those at home watching this is called a, what? Just a pause.
Stall tactic.
That all look all right to you, Don?
Yes.
You might let Stan take a look at that, so be sure everybody's seeing it before we go vote on it.
Well, like I said, the only question I had was just to make sure that if the county went a different way, then we'd have to go a different way also.
Okay, if there are no further discussions or issues on that one, I'd entertain a motion of approval, disapproval to renew the insurance for 2021-2022.
It's your turn, Carter.
Make a motion to approve the renewal of insurance with AGCO for 2021, 2022.
Second,
Yes.
we have a motion and a second to approve the ACO SIG insurance 2021-2022. Roll call vote, please.
Melissa,
Yes.
Stan,
Yes.
Connor,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes. Okay, I think that gets most of the business done. Number 11, update regarding Winoka Incubator. Anything there?
we haven't had anybody call or check on renting it so far, so. Things are picking up a little bit. Oil's $68 a barrel. So I would suspect that it, hopefully, within a short period of time, we may have somebody written in again. But so far, nobody's asked any questions on it. That's all I have on that.
And again, for Melissa, you might tell her where that's located.
Okay, when you're going into Winoka,
Mhm.
you got Mock, Chesapeake Building.
Yes.
Then the next building to the west, there's a white building kind of back in there a little bit. The committee owns that building as an incubator. We've had 2 or 3 clients in it since we built it, and so that's this group's to rent out, get businesses to try and get started and things like that. And right now it's empty. The downplay in the oil, there was an oil supply company there, and so it's put us out on rent. So,
And typically, the Winoka Industrial, they try to, obviously, they want that filled too. So good business for them. So they work in conjunction with our organization to try to find clientele that go into that building. But with the downturn in the economy, that was one of the buildings that got affected with that at the time. So we're looking.
we're looking. So if you hear of anybody,
Okay.
like a Connor Martin or somebody that,
Yeah.
does
He could,
business everywhere.
Expand his business to Winoka.
Any questions about that? If not, let's move on to number 12, which is the, talk about the airport project.
Okay, at the airport, next to Plain Plastic, we built a building, this committee built a building, and rented it out. So they also own that one, I guess I forgot, no, I mentioned that.
Maybe.
But, so anyway, we got a lease from the city on land so that we could possibly put other buildings. Well, they came to the authority and asked if they could change locations from what we had leased so they could do something, so we changed locations. Well, since then, the survey they had done was incorrect as far as the location. We've still been working to get that survey corrected. This is at, and I don't know if you've seen it, but that's the location of the land at the airport. Of course, over here is the terminal, and this is
Yeah.
what we have now, but that, our survey is incorrect, so we gotta get that correct. I have talked to Angelica, and she's working on that. Of course, I know with all that she's working on, that is not at the top of her priority list, and so we've just gotta be patient. As of right now, we don't have any plans, but I can tell you that yesterday, I got an RFI from the state for aviation, but I don't think we're gonna really qualify to, put out anything, because they wanted to be within 5 miles of the base. Kind of throws us out of the
Yeah.
thing right away, but 900 and some employees, so, but that's kind of why we want some of those things, because of this group could possibly do something in a hurry
If we need it.
if we needed, so.
So do you have to find a surveyor, or does the city have?
Yeah, we have to get a surveyor to correct
The
those.
city will do that,
And the city,
that's their responsibility.
Oh, okay.
But basically, you heard the saying, man without a country, well, we're an authority without a particular plot out there.
Okay.
We agreed to cooperate with them because they had some needs of what we previously had. We thought we knew what we were getting, and then as they were surveyed out there, they said, well, it's not quite right there. But, so we've got to get that identified and have.
I didn't know if you had to find a surveyor and pay for the surveying and all that. so-
well, and that's another issue nowadays, surveyors are hard to
Yes.
come by.
I think the city, though, has a couple of other things that they're going to need to have surveyed, and I'm guessing.
Do them all at once.
I'm sort of guessing that
Okay.
they'll contract with someone probably to do, they get a surveyor up there to take care of all their surveys, so hopefully.
That'd be great. I mean, so those are the things that this committee kind of works for.
Okay.
It's kind of behind the scenes, nobody hears a lot about it, but this is the working arm. So,
And the aviation thing is a pretty good area to work in. That's where we'd like to get this worked out, so that somebody comes in and says, kind of like playing plastic did many years ago, somebody comes in and says, we want to locate near an airport or next to your airport. We
Then you
have a
already
place
have-
to, yeah.
well, and that's one of the things I've been doing is I went out with Angelica, because, we probably have, 3/4 of a mile on out, south, that we still could build on, and it would still be
Within regulations or whatever.
close on air. So if you look at our availability for possible aviation companies, we're pretty strong. And that's becoming a big thing for Oklahoma. Right now, though, a lot of them are way too big for us. They're wanting 1 million square feet of building.
Right.
So, but at least it puts us in the playing field.
Right.
And in the past, what we've done was a lot of those, we have gone out and basically gotten grants to help build those buildings. And then you have a tenant that comes in and either buys it or leases it from us, and so.
At a reduced rate.
Yeah. And that's kind of the inducement you get them here, and then if they can bring 50 or 100 or whatever it is employees, that's it. So, and we've been shut down pretty hard, with COVID stuff, just like everybody else. Not much has transpired anywhere in the last year or so. Okay, anything else on the airport?
That's about it for the airport.
I'm not aware of any new business that's come up since the agenda posted. How about the executive director's report?
Well, as far as, we've actually got two groups that are actually looking at possibilities of a meat packing. And the size of those have not been determined at this point. Grow facilities, you know, we've had several inquiries on that. We had a company from Oregon that came the Monday after turkey hunting, and I gave them 2 days of tours and things of Alva. I think we had, at that time, I was about 50-50 whether they'd come or not come, and now I feel like I'm 80% sure they're gonna come. It's not big, they'll hire 20 people, but I think we have a real good shot at that. Most of the RFIs I've been getting in lately are things that don't really fit because they're either too big or they have restrictions that they want that we don't fit, so.
Can I ask you what an RFI is?
Yeah, it's a request for information,
Okay,
or an RFP is what they used to send out, which is a request for proposal. They're both the same as far as I'm concerned. And we get those from the state, Department of Commerce.
okay,
And then, I mean, you have to know what amount of electricity is available, what the sewer, excess sewer, what the water, you know, you have to know all of it and put in that RFI and then send it in. I don't know, I think I've been messing with economic development for 20 years here. And we used to send these in. And, you know, you may get one a month, and some months you may get 5. Well, in 20 years, all of them we sent in, we've never had a response. Not one, until this past year, and we've had 2. So that came here and then basically chose Alva. So, I mean, the odds are in our favor now over what they used to be. So, the website, I've asked them for an update. I think when we get that, I think we'll have a lot more stuff generated because these companies from New York and California and Oregon and all these places will be able to get on the internet and find us. And of course, we'll highlight the things that we have as a county that may attract somebody. So I think the activity will pick up even more after that. I had a real estate group out of, I believe, Texas, that has put an offer in on a lot here in town, and they'll build some kind of retail. So, depending on whether that goes through or doesn't, you know, we may have another retail business in town. Let's see, the arena project, we had a meeting with them. We have had to jump through a couple more hoops for SBA, but we're still hoping that sometime this summer we can start construction on that. I had a couple more people come around, and they're wanting to resurrect the Red Horse Lake project. So I'm digging into that and the history and
Where's Red Horse? That was like.
Well, there isn't one yet.
Okay, they
But
just wanna find it.
It's west of town. And the landowners that had it before have changed, but, anyway, we're gonna look back into it. Whether anything ever comes of it, I don't know, but, I think that's all I have as far as, you know, things that you haven't heard about. You have any questions?
Anything else?
I will say this before we get to the next one, don't leave until we got everything signed. Cause I know there's some of them that we gotta make sure we have signed.
Okay, nothing, we will adjourn at 8:50.